Do you want to start with your name and what do
Sure.
you do?
My name is Erik Nelson. I'm the general manager of both Northtown Mazda, Northtown Kia. I'm the used car facilitator for the entire company. I am one of the corporate trainers, meaning I teach, train, and develop. And then in addition to that, I also train the trainers. So hypothetically, if you were going to teach a class, we would develop a class together, and then I would sit with you for about a year straight, and then I would turn it over to you, and then I'd watch you, and then you'd be on your own. So I do that as well in my spare time.
How many departments are there and what do they do? And then how do they report back to you?
So I have not exactly counted all the departments. I'm going to say in the tune of in each building, so you have a new car, used car, finance, parts, service, detail. As an overview, as a corporate department structure, you have a BDC, which is what we call a business development center, and then we have, because the corporation's big, so we have what we call similar function management team meetings. So if you were a manager at any one of the other stores, then we get together and we meet as well. So however you want to break that out, but I have a daily routine. It starts off early in the morning, and I pretty much walk around and say hello to almost every employee. If I don't, and I get sidetracked, sometimes they'll see me walk through there at 4 o'clock, and I might say good morning. That means my day got pushed back. So I say hello to everybody every day, and we meet face to face just about every day with the heads of the departments.
Where do you get your cars imported from and how many brands do you sell?
So we currently have 18 brands, and the new cars come directly from the factory. So if it's a Korean car, some come from Korea, some are built in the States. Actually, more are built in the States now than in Korea, and that goes across the board. So if it's a Japanese car, there's a lot of them get built here. German cars, Germany. So they pretty much come from all over the place as a new car. New car manufacturers have plants on most continents. So
Do you inspect the cars too before they come in?
yeah. So Carson does. So we have what we have is we have a philosophy and a process execution. It's called Northtown Touch, meaning whatever you do within the dealership, it has a process map and work instructions. So it would be similar to, let's say if you worked at McDonald's, right, and you're going to make a Big Mac. Everybody makes a Big Mac the same way, right? If for some reason you thought there was a better sauce or a better way to put the bun in there and stuff, they'd probably talk to you a couple times and say, we appreciate it, but this is how we do it. Right. There are times and places for feedback and change, but there's other ones that are not, i.e. Inspecting the cars. So if a car comes in and if it's not followed by that process that's laid out in writing and training, if there's a truck damage on a car, any damage on a car, from $200 to $5,000, I mean, it's a severe impact, no matter what, to the business. So that's why we have to stick to those processes.
When do you guys get the most busy? Is there any specific holidays?
Historically Saturdays are always busy. That kind of seems to be a retail day. Everybody seems to have a little bit more time then. I think there's been more balance over the past handful of years. We review our staff we also review it on Google to see how many people are in the store. So obviously your phones and however they can track who's where, who's on what website and certain things like that, or shopping in the dealership. So we can see when we're busy just from looking at Google.
How many employees work here on a regular basis?
144.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
So we have close to 800 corporately and 144 directly that are directly with my two buildings. And then in addition to that, with the used car facilitator team that we have, then there's managers from other store that I work with as well.
Okay. You already touched on a little bit how you start your day talking to each of the employees, saying hi. What else do you think goes along in your typical workday?
So I tell people if they, for punishment, if they ever want to, they're more than welcome to ride shotgun with me all day. But that would be a little bit more punishment because they probably wouldn't make it till noon. So I think we have an outline and a map written, and it's mental, knowing what you need to check up on, finding out what buttons you need to push, where we need to find opportunity, whether it's a revenue stream, an expense situation, a personnel. So you kind of have to decide each day what you're going to dive into, because if you dive into personnel every day, it's just not going to work. If you dive into expense every day, it's just not going to work. If you just sit there and talk about revenue every day, it's just not going to work. So I think you have to decide, which avenues you're gonna, pick in the morning. And a lot of times it's how people react or what frame of mind they're in. If somebody's in the wrong frame of mind and I want to talk to you about revenue and expense and you have a personnel issue, it's just not going to work. So it's a challenge.
What characteristics do you need to lead a big company like this
Um,
one?
So I'm sure there's probably a lot of different perspectives on this. I think empathy is probably the number one. If you can't understand how somebody feels, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to drive them in the right direction. I think self-awareness is probably a close second, and drive fits in there somewhere along the way as well.
What do you feel like you need to do to be as a leader to keep everyone motivated and everything doesn't go well more machine?
So I think no matter what, you have to have I don't think you can manage without relationships and building rapport with somebody. So if I don't know that you're going to school and what you're doing at school, and I don't ask you those questions, I don't think we can have a relationship that can help guide you. I can't understand what your challenges are, and I can't help you navigate through those. I take a lot of pride in trying to know each person as an individual, and then you can find different ways to help get them focused, driven, and kind of all rowing in the same direction.
Mm-hmm. What are your goals for the dealership? Like, do you have weekly or monthly goals?
Yep. So we have an annual forecast in every department, and when we're finished here, I'll just throw it on the table here, and you'll see what it looks like. So we have. There's a lot of different ways to look at a forecast. So a manufacturer may say, we're going to build 1 million cars. Let's just use that as a round number. And in that 1 million cars, 250,000 of them are going to be sold in the Northeast region. And out of the Northeast region, there's 14 districts. Well, this district represents X% of sales of that million, right? So then they give it to us, and we'll call it 1,200 cars, okay? Mazdas or Kias. And then we divide it out, but we don't divide it out on an annual or monthly basis. We divide it out on the bell curve, meaning 1 month may represent 11% of our business and 1 month may represent 6% of our business, and then we build around that. So every single thing has a percentage of revenue and expense. So if you were to buy paper towels, it may come under miscellaneous, small tools, whatever. You have X% per month based on your revenue stream for every category. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So obviously there's competition between other dealerships. How do you feel like you situate yourself between other Kia and Mazda dealerships?
So we, these two stores beat both their direct competitors. This particular store beats their direct competitors through the entire district. So we focus on it every Monday. We focus on our sales meetings. We focus on the little things of trying to come up with easier and better ways to do business. The most important thing is our customer interaction. There's nothing more important than that. You mentioned it when you came in. You felt it. You kind of feel the hum. That's a culture. A culture is something that you can't dictate. It's something you create, and that's what we try to create.
What are your competitors, like your direct competitors?
So we like to say manufacturer to manufacturer, right? So you have West Kia, and then you have Transitown Kia. So they're our direct. As for Mazda, we have Town Mazda. In addition to that, you have Rochester, Syracuse, and Albany, Jamestown. So those are your manufacturer competitors. that you stack up against at all times. As a total, our group, we like to stack ourselves up against the marketplace. So on a monthly basis, if the market sells X amount of cars, we want to make sure that Northtown Automotive Group exceeds the penetration of the market.
Alright.
And we do.
I know you probably have to deal with the upfront of like a dissatisfied customer or anything like that. So like, what's the best way to handle it?
So we have a process for that as well. So if you were a salesperson or a manager, whatever the case may be, for a long period of time, you would sit with me how we would, disarm the customer. And you can't make a customer, if there's an issue, satisfied. Our rule is you have to kind of make them over the top and advocate. So it's not just making them satisfied. The simple way is, we get in a room, we shut the door, we call the customer, we ask them if we can talk to them on speakerphone, we identify who's in the room, and then we try to, get to the root cause of the problem. First, you let them vent. We always offer for the customer to come back in because we think we can communicate better face to face and find a way to turn it around. And we will let them know that once they're done venting, that we want to turn the situation around and we want to start our relationship over again.
Advertisement, how do you go about that?
Okay, so there's Northtown company advertisement, and then there's your Mazda, your Kia, your used. There's parts, there's service. There's so many different aspects of advertisement. We have our Northtown umbrella, and we try to make sure everything falls under our nth degree marketing message. We've kind of evolved it to more of a simple. Northtown to the nth degree is a simple way to do business. So we've eliminated all the hoops in any communication on marketing. As for dollars and cents, again, that comes for a percentage of revenue. And each month we'll have a different estimated forecast of what we're going to spend, and then it's chopped up by department.
Do you spend more money on like TV ads or like online ads? Is there a
So we
specific
We
one?
so we tend to stay more of like a 30% digital, and when we're done with this, I can give you an example of what that budget looks like. Whether it's Auto Trader, Cars.com, Facebook, whatever the case may be. We also do digital newsletters. So there's so much that goes into it, but yes, we do roughly 30% is where we keep 30% in digital, and then we split the rest off.
How important have good employees been to your success?
Your employees are everything. Everything, period.
Right.
Yep. So without them, we're nothing. Without building the relationship, without letting them see what's important. And, I have guys that have been with me for a long, long time. I have guys that have been young and just worked through ups and downs of life. The girl who runs my offices has been here at 12, 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Maybe she started at the front desk at 17, and she runs all my offices.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What advice would you give to like an aspiring business owner or a college student that's in business?
Take a deep breath. Deep breath before you make decisions. I think the biggest thing that causes issues or challenges or obstacles is that instant reaction. That's not going to do anything. If you're making a decision like that, you have to have some way to mentally hold yourself back. I call it hurry up and wait. So that's what I would advise anybody.
All right.
Be conscious of the impact, the unforeseen consequences down the road.
Speaking again on employees, how does incentives play a role in your salesmen or anyone for your employees?
So incentives play a role no matter what, because if you didn't incentivize people on performance, just the balance wouldn't work. Because there's some people that are just purely driven, and they're going to produce and produce and produce and overproduce, and then you have people that actually don't produce at a high level, and they're still a part of the team. So you have to make sure that you have that balance. If you have nothing but just absolute top performing fast runners and those types of things, I don't think you'll get the balance.
How'd you get into this? This is something you always wanted to do, or did you just start at Northtowns and build your way up?
I think I got drafted when I was a kid. My uncle owned small car dealerships, and from the time I was 14, I was washing cars. So I've actually worked every department in a dealership.
Oh wow.
I came here in 2000, and so I've worked in every aspect of a dealership. I've fixed cars, I've detailed cars, I've done everything. So I mean, not to the level of these employees. I mean, a technician down there now
Right.
versus changing a set of brakes or changing oil is completely different. Those guys, the amount of training that they go through is unbelievable.
Right.
In terms of your dealership, how do you make the cuts between you guys, the salesman, and then still keep the customer happy?
So that's a culture thing. So you have to teach empathy. You have to continually bring the focus to the salesperson that, what does the customer have in mind? What does their day-to-day look like? How can we make this transaction process easier? One of the things that historically our industry has been is taking too much time for everything. And that's, kind of a black eye for all of us. And we try to find ways to, iron out the process and make it a little bit smoother.
Mm-hmm. Now, what we were talking about before with culture, how does the new establishment affect the culture of the business? You say it benefits having this new facility?
Yeah. I think coming into a work, in a place that you can be proud of, obviously makes a huge difference. There's not many places like this around, so if we hypothetically in our mind have the best place around, we should be the best. So.
Yeah, like when I walked in here, the whole thing, I just noticed it was a lot cleaner than other places I've walked in.
We try, and it's
That's
funny. We actually have a report card that the owners do for the general managers, and it has like process, growth, and culture. And on the culture section of it, it does check off cleanliness and things like that. So
Yeah.
we try to make sure everything's nice and tight.
So what would you say what would be your competitive advantages compared to other corporations?
As in auto,
Yeah, as an auto.
so toe to toe, I just, I feel like we're better, and I feel that we can try to instill that in all of our people. Something as simple as this conversation or this interview.
Mm-hmm.
Carson, you've been here, what, year and a half?
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't feel comfortable with me, he probably wouldn't have asked.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have pitched in. I mean, and that may not happen at other businesses. So, I mean, we care about his future and everyone's future. So those are the little things that make a difference.
Nice. In terms of planning, how much does that go into getting your overall goal for your department?
A lot. So behind the scenes where all these numbers shake out, you have a whole, bunch of accountants and CFOs and stuff like that, and, making sure every little column lines up. We're on the front lines producing the sales, producing the revenue, producing all those things, but everything has to match up. And again, before we leave, I'll just give you a brief overlook of what a forecast looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And one little change in each little category impacts everything. So if we sit here and build a plan and we build this building and the plan doesn't equate to profitability, then it's a bad plan.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that goes into it. There's a whole staff behind the staff.
Wow.
There's an entire accounting office, and it's about 20 people, I would say, roughly.
And the amount of employees you have on a daily basis, I just can only imagine. You talk about building relationships and how hard that might be with so many people just on a daily basis.
So you know 144 employees by name, basically.
I do. Mine in these two buildings, I know everybody.
Wow.
So, and I mean, I know throughout the company, there's, close to 800. I would know most.
Wow.
So.
I just have a couple quick questions for you. Just to go off of what he mentioned about competitive advantage. So basically, how often do you guys sit down as a company and analyze your advantages or disadvantages, or where you can improve?
So it has to trickle down from the top level.
Mm-hmm.
So from ownership and the general manager level, we call that our executive level. So at our executive level, we review monthly, and then we try to make sure that it gets trickled down to the different departments.
Okay. Does Northtown offer any activities for employees? Activities meaning things you guys can do on the outside, let's just say softball leagues or trivia teams, things of those sorts.
We don't have those per se. A lot of it has to do with the amount of hours and the time frame in the retail side of the fence. I mean, we're open, from 7:30 in the morning till 9 at night, 6 days a week.
Yeah,
So
Paintball last year.
we did. So we
Oh,
do
yeah, the
things
paintball.
here, and other stores may do different things. They do paintball from time to time. I know every Thanksgiving they have a football game. I don't participate because I'm too old. I'm afraid I'll get hurt.
It could. Oh, sorry. It could also be like, let's say you guys come together and have dinners or like
We do.
parties or
Yep.
gatherings together.
Yep. So we do have dinners. We have a Christmas party that we are running out of facilities because we have 800 people. So the owners pay for everybody. Every other year we do it as a family or a formal. So on the family side, like we would rent out Riverworks, and everybody would bring their girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, kids, whatever the case may be, with all sorts of activities. We used to have a summer event where we actually rented out a carnival, and
Oh,
then
wow.
it kind of dwindled over time because everybody was working so much, and then forfeit a Sunday in the summer, so we backed off on that. Individual stores definitely do quite a bit. I know there's a lot of dinners, a lot of lunches that go on.
Okay. What makes you like proud to work here in this company?
So I think what makes me proud to work here is the leadership that I work for. The Schreiber family, Larry Schreiber, Craig Schreiber, Norm Schreiber. My direct boss is Harold Erbacher. If they weren't the leaders they are, I wouldn't be the leader I am. So
Okay.
it starts at the top.
Nice. Does the company give back to the community, and if so, in what ways?
A lot. But we don't advertise it. That's the difference. So a lot of companies are out there just pounding in your face that what they give. We actually don't do that. So just to start with Millard Fillmore, we built an entire wing down there. It says the Northtown Automotive Wing. If you were a competitive dealer, you may put that on every commercial. We sponsor Roswell. We sponsor the Ride for Roswell. We have, we gave $80,000 away just recently from Subaru. Mazda gives donations, our Mazda store. SPCA, we sponsor the SPCA. Not only that, but we actually have events here in both of my buildings, on Saturdays. I think you've seen that. I've had yoga, Heel Buffalo. That's a free yoga event that we do here, and Heel Buffalo is not like the shoe heel, it's like Heel Buffalo. So, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I don't know if you've seen, but a lot of the baseball diamonds, football diamonds, or
Yeah.
football fields around the area,
Mhm.
they're all taken care of by us.
Oh,
The
wow.
Northtown Center, that's completely, it's not just a sponsor, it's a pure funding thing. I mean, if you look at, how we cleaned it up and the things that we do there, the list is endless.
Okay. That's so many things that you do, and like you guys are so humble. You don't even like advertise it. What's one thing you would change about the company if you could?
I think sometimes we give too many people too much autonomy, and I think there's certain times where we're all talking about rowing in the right direction. I think sometimes it takes us a little bit too long to make those decisions to find out if somebody's going to row in the right direction with us,
Okay.
and I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that.
Okay.
I'm guilty of not terminating fast enough.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think that's it for right now.
Cool.